Welcome back to PodX. Our guest for today is an entrepreneur, investor, and athlete who owns a stake in a variety of companies and also runs them, and is also the founder of Golden Ace Ventures. I'm so excited to introduce you to Aparajeet Mittal. Golden Ace Ventures has founded multiple companies and has stake in many companies. There's so many people out there who want to get into the business world, the entrepreneurial world. They have Aparajeet Mittal, who is also known as Avi Mittal, here with us, telling us all his hacks and secrets. So, Avi, thank you so much for doing this.
My pleasure, Ayush. My pleasure. Thank you for having me on your show and thinking that I'm worthy enough of being interviewed with a young, budding, upcoming entrepreneur like yourself.
No, but you've actually done a lot. So I was just reading about you, and it's really amazing. And I want to dive into all those topics. So there's like a lot of topics excite me, but I think most are in entrepreneurship and investing. So a lot of my questions will revolve around that, and then we can go a bit about the athletic side and exploring your nature. But most will be more like the entrepreneurial kind. I hope you don't mind that.
Sure, please.
Yeah. So I actually remember the first time I called you, which is like the only time we've spoken before. And I remember I found you to be very humble, because of the way you said you said to me that you are a small man and that why should I have you on my podcast, which has stayed in my head, because that's not true. You're just undervaluing. I say like you're grounded with humility.
Staying humble and staying grounded is my key to, giving myself a reality check that I never become complacent with my success. That gives me that hunger and drives me to strive for more.
But I'm not sure, but I think you said somewhere that 5 to 7 years back you were a kind of different person. And since then you've reinvented and recreated yourself, and that you are completely different now. So could you explain us? Let's start from there. How did you evolve from that stage?
It's that it's a phase that every human being goes through. But for me, it was like maybe that phase from that boy to becoming a man. And I feel I started out a little late when I got certain reality checks that life gave me. So I think it is all part of those phases of being a brat, and then from a brat to being a business. I'm so sorry. I'm so
That's
sorry. I just got a call. I just got it. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So being from coming from a background of business always, but always being pampered by the elders of my house. My grandfather was a very big support system in my life. So sorry, I don't know. I'm trying to avoid these calls. Can you hear me clearly? Yeah. So the whole phase that I came in at about 7 years ago, at the age of 25, when I wanted to, start my own, basically make my own mark in society, and it was tough time. I lost my grandfather during that time, and that gave me a reality check that what do I want to be in life? Where do I want my career to grow? Or do I just want to be known as, a scion of a certain lineage which provided luxury and comfort to me? Or did I want to make my own mark in society and have my individual identity built? And that was that transition phase, and that's I said, just becoming from a boy to a man. That was the whole thing.
Well, how do you discover your nature? Because I know a lot of people who are born into business families, but they prefer doing something else, like maybe acting or singing or cricket or something else. So, how did you discover that you wanted to dive into entrepreneurship and not something else? How do you discover your nature?
Uh, well, I think it's not about more about discovering, it's also about your surroundings. In my surroundings, I always had people from various walks of life, but my family was mainly always into businesses. But even in the businesses of fame, like, we've financed and produced films in the past, my granddad has done that. I had, I had, sharing this, that I did have the options of becoming an actor as well back in the days, but it never caught my fancy. I always saw myself as a person, who is more oriented towards multiplying with numbers. And I think that's where I found my niche that, I'm apart from being a people's person, I can also, I think, decently good enough in multiplying money. So I think that's where it all started out.
I wanted to dive into choices. So, how did you how do you take important decisions? Because a lot of us get paralyzed during taking important decisions. like more importantly, when people move from the student phase of life to the work phase. So somewhere about 2022, they graduate from college and they're going to enter the work phase. So a lot of people, don't know what's going to happen. They're entering a different phase of life. There's something new. There's an excitement. There's a sense of fear, anxiety. So how did you take the decisions from in that phase of life when you changed?
So precisely, actually, like that's just the reason. Like when if you see my career graph, when I started out my company, Golden Ace Ventures, it's a holding company. I decided that I will never limit myself to one particular business because I could not at that time myself decide that what am I good at. Am I good at tech entrepreneurship? Am I good at sports entrepreneurship? Am I good at just as an investor? Or if I am I good at my creativity? So that's the reason when I decided, I always thought that I'm gonna have a make a base for myself, and through that, explore my options. And that's the reason, it's just incidental that I became part of so many ventures that I founded and co-founded them or invested into them. But I never limited and blocked my own creativity. I always wanted to keep trying new and different things. So hence, Golden Age was that platform that I created for myself, which has my base strong. And by putting my hands into 10 different things, I feel that if out of 10, even two succeed, the rest eight are justified as a trial and error and as a learning curve. But I never believe in putting all my eggs in one basket. That is my business strategy and my growth plan. So hence that's
I,
how it works out.
it's like a thing. So basically, Gary Vee? Do you know who Gary Vee?
Sorry?
Do you know who's Gary Vee?
Of course.
Yeah, basically everyone knows who's into entrepreneurship. So I think even it's true. Like
Yes.
Gary also says this that it's always better to take 88 shots, uh, which are imperfect, than to just take four perfect shots and trying for it. Because there's a higher chance of you succeeding when you take those 88 shots than when you try to just take those four shots. So I think
Hence
that
that's the
also can
reason
be
that
related.
he exactly that's the reason he succeeded so well, where he took so many shots into so many companies and his those stock values and share values I won't even say quadrupled, but into billions. Definitely, yeah. I think that is the way ahead, and that also, being an entrepreneur does not limit you from exploring what your inner habitations are, that what you want to do, what you want to like learn. And when times today, like how like businesses have grown into so many various avenues and so many various, you know, like avenues are open to people that you and plus with changing times and trends, you need to try and always want to be part of the latest big thing. Like right now, I have suddenly found in the last say 1.5 months, I'm exploring, like I'm sharing this with you. I'm exploring to look into getting into AI. Artificial intelligence was not something which I ever thought I would be part of my portfolio, but I'm looking and exploring options and how I want to make it part of my portfolio, right? So it's always about exploring and seeing what you can do in times. Like during this lockdown, I have acquired three new different verticals and three new companies in terms of in solar power. I never thought I'll get into solar. We got into solar with Surja Energy. Got into the medical space with PT Medicals, where we have these rapid, inflatable hospitals. Then I've now just brought down another UK company where I've become an India channel partner for a very unique, different kind of a disinfectant application, which is, we'll try to I'll explain each one of them in a bit to you. But so yeah, I always thought that it's about growing your businesses and trying to, explore as many avenues as you can and never limiting yourself to it. So that was, as an entrepreneur, it keeps your passion growing and going.
So I want to ask you this question, which is, you said that you've been trying to look for investing in AI companies and all that stuff. So how do you like? I know most companies reach out to you through email, but has it ever happened that you will try to find a company? So you're looking for a certain company and you will search up on the internet or you will search up on LinkedIn or somewhere and try to find out people in that field and get them together.
Well, to be honest, this answer goes back to your earlier thought about, my net worth being my net worth. And I think now, after 7 years of being in the game and being out there, I've made enough relationships and associations with various different kind of people who come from these various walks of life. So I know about two, three good entrepreneurs or tech investors who have already ventured into the AI space, and I've closely tried to understand their models of how they accelerated their success by investing into these kind of ventures. So it's not. I no. I don't do the traditional way. I won't go and Google a company or go on LinkedIn and try and approach a promoter because then that would give me a shorter hand. But in my initial stages, I did definitely do that. Like about say till 6 years ago, the first year maybe yeah I did do that where I did go and seek information and see. But once if I before the only time I use the common platform of Google to try and explore something will be obviously to always see the competition. So if I've made up my mind on a certain venture and to see who I'm competing with and what's the marketplace like, or whether do I have a monopoly or no, that's when I would use the help of Google Guruji as we all call them in India now.
You had like a 7 year journey, which you just told us. So you, whenever we're trying to start something new, you might have entered different new markets and all that stuff. So when we're trying to enter something new, we're experimenting a lot, and we're bound to see failure. So tell me some of your failures and what you learned from them.
Uh, my failures, there have been ventures in which I'd say maybe initially I have trusted people and worked with them closely, but thinking that our vision is aligned and we can grow together. And then at some point of our journey, this times come when it's time for either one of us to get off that train and let the venture move ahead, or or have it halted at that station. So that's happened to me in the past, and not too long ago, but even very recently, I was in a venture before with, I won't name those people because I don't believe in, holding on to those grudges. But there was somebody who had wronged me in the past, and I gave a second chance again and got back into business with that person. And then yet again, that person did the very same thing that he did to me the first time. And I feel like such a fool that, how can I be? But the thing is that I still believe that human nature can maybe change a person or make a person a better human, and they don't realize. I very strongly believe in karma, and that's the reason I never mess around with people in that way, because I always believe it comes back and bites you, and more than you, if it bites your loved ones, it hurts even more. So my failures have been that I am naive in that is I trust people very easily and always believe in the good of human nature than the bad of them, and that might be my weak side to it. But that doesn't stop me from bringing out even that aggressive side of me, where when I want to pin someone to the ground and show them who's boss, I can be that nasty as well.
I can really relate to the trust part. A lot of people tell me, so it happens with me, a lot of my friends. So, if I just meet a new person, like this, I'm telling you, I've not told this on an online platform ever. So, what happens is whenever I meet a new person, and sometimes what happens is you instantly get that vibe with them. And what happens is you start telling them a lot of stuff, you start trusting them with your work and all that stuff. And I kind of felt, I've been through what you said, but I think on a smaller scale. So, I had a YouTube channel, I had 5 YouTube channels before this. So in one of my previous
Wow.
channels, I was working with one of my other friends, and what happened was we were working together, and what happened was suddenly he stopped working. So suppose if there was a deadline to upload a video on Friday, he would call back on Sunday to me and be like, "Oh, I forgot about it," and all that stuff. Even when I called him, he didn't answer my calls and all that stuff. So that is what happened, and I was like, "Okay, our visions on the line," and I had to step down from there. So I think I can relate to that part, but on a smaller level,
Yeah,
of
but it's
course.
different when it comes to when you're founding something and starting it out, and it's different when there is crores of rupees at stake. So, uh, anyways, it's all each one of them is a learning curve. But never consider yourself weak, and that you cannot build it back up. All right, I'd rather, and you know, it was great part of my nature for a very long time was also that I never made took things legal, or never bothered to get my space. Now I have made it a point that nobody can take me for granted. I will spend 3 times the amount because I can on getting my dues, but I will make sure that I make that person pay and that person realizes, so that I set a precedent that that person does not do it again to another person. So that's how I safeguard it.
So that was about your failures. I think even how do you embrace and celebrate your success? Because even that plays an important role.
Oh, that I'm a crazy wild animal when it comes to celebrations. I celebrate life on a regular basis. So it's not just about particularly me celebrating my success on anything, but I'm a very outgoing person. I love like normally people have hobbies like they like collecting watches, cars, shoes, belts. I have them all, but my biggest passion is I like to be a good host. So I'm always celebrating and I'm always having people around me and hosting something of the else. So celebrating life is part of my day-to-day journey. So something that any in particular I'm going to only celebrate a particular venture or something like that. Never ended up happening doing that.
Okay, that's nice. That's something which I would really love to do maybe 10 years down the line. Learn from that. I think that's what
Sure.
I'll pick up from you. So you are an angel investor in multiple companies. So would you look before investing in a company?
Um, Particularly as I said, it's the first thing is obviously that I look at is the people, the promoters, the guys who have built their vision and their thought process aligned with me. Then obviously the trust factor. Then obviously my thought on doing my R&D and due diligence on those companies in terms of and seeing the prospect of the future and seeing how hard work dedicated the core team is to willing to grow the business. There are various aspects to it, obviously market studies, uh, potential growth that even the founder or the person with the idea has not got it, but where I can add value. So that just being an angel investor and giving my money is not going to help. And most of the times I've never done that. I've always either helped raise money for these companies and in return I've ended up getting equity in these companies and growing those businesses bigger because the investors or like even if I'm not investing, if I'm getting an investor on board, he believes in me and my vision and so it has to align with the rest of the core team. So there are a lot of aspects that go into it, and most of the time it's basically I follow my gut, and I could be right, I could be wrong, but then it's human to error, so there's nothing wrong in that.
I think a lot of startups I've noticed sometimes they overvalue their price. They give an amazing pitch. Their idea is also really very nice, but what happens is they overvalue themselves. So what do you do with that? You must have experienced it.
I've experienced it so many times. Like each and every time, everyone overvalues themselves for sure, which is a great thing. But then getting them to ground reality is also important. And I've had many a times where I have given offers to ventures, and because of them overvaluing themselves, they think that I'm wrong. And within a span of say 90 to 180 days, I have them coming begging back at my door that to reconsider and accept my offer. And by that time, I'll be like, no, I'll further bring them down and say that I told you so. That is, it's good. It takes a lot of hard work, but it's good to be on the shark seat. And sometimes I like playing shark tank myself as well.
This is kind of off topic, but I've noticed that a lot of people who want to get into a media company, what they do is actually they look for funding, and basically what their ideas are is actually Gary Vee's ideas. So they just watch Gary's videos and they just take out those ideas and they switch them out. And while actually what Gary says is you don't need funding to start a media company or anything, which is really good.
See, media is a tricky place, and with the kind of media that is growing and the kind of content that people are absorbing by the minute, there is enough space in it for everyone. And even if you pick up somebody's idea and you can get it funded and you're out there, then I would call you a genius. Because you didn't have to use your brains too much. You picked, cut, copy, paste, and you're still there. So that's a good thing. I don't think so. It's anything wrong in that unless you're infringement or there is a copyright issue. Apart from that, if you can pull this off, you're a genius. You're not a con man.
So I've spoken to you till now, and I kind of felt this also, even when I spoke to you the first time, which is you're grounded with humility and you're open to anything new. So you're accepting new ideas, suggestions, or anything. Like even in I think one of your previous videos with someone else, you had given out your email ID and you had said if they need any help with their venture, they can mail you, and if you can't help them, you will use some of your contacts and connections to help them out. So why do you do that, and like how? That is the thing. You have such a busy schedule.
Having a busy schedule, yes, we all do. But then what use of being a human being is if you are of no use to other humans, right? And in times, I believe there was like times where I too needed somebody to hold my hand and handhold me and, partner with me or believe in me or guide me. And if I was fortunate, so maybe it's just my way of balancing and leveling out my scores with the Almighty up there that I would do that. And I genuinely mean that I'm happy to put out you have my email address the day when you put this on your podcast or you put it up. feel free to put out my email address, and people are more than happy to reach out to me. I have no issues, and if any way I can add value to their lives, or I'm more than happy to help.
I'll put it in the comment section, your email address. I was
Sure.
actually going through your portfolio, and the amount of companies you've invested and founded are too many, and I can't even remember. But there were few which stayed in my mind, which is one of the things is
Mm-hmm.
Surja Energy, which is like a different concept.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that a bit.
So Surja is one of my very most recent acquisitions that I've partnered into. All right. Surja is obviously a solar energy company as we speak. The difference in this company and the way how regular solar companies work, this is a one-stop solution turnkey company where today big industries and like even actually not even big, basically medium small enterprise, the MSMEs that when they have got high consumption of electricity and today are paying anywhere between 7 to 8 rupees, particularly in states like Maharashtra and Karnataka. Uh, for them to set up a solar plant where their consumptions would be anywhere between 25 kV to sorry, from 25 megawatts to 35 megawatts. For them to set up will be crores and crores of investment. So Suja, what it does is basically builds that bridge between creating that power, supplying it to these companies at half, literally way less than what they are paying to the regular electricity boards. At the same time, Suzy has managed to secure international funding to provide these companies for this kind of thing. So today, a company if to get a 25 megawatt project, if they need to invest say about 40 crores, the company only needs to invest 10% of it, 4 crores. The rest 36 crores will come from an international fund that which will do an agreement with this company that for over the next 10 to 15 years, that at this price you will be given this electricity, and this is how you're going to be paying for it.
Another one which
So
was
that's
in my
the
mind.
innovation into. Sorry.
No, no, I continue. Sorry, I had another thing. It was another question.
Yeah. So that's about it with Suja. So it's the latest offering in cutting edge solar energy with a financial backing to it, like with a financial model to it.
So is it just for industries or is it even used at the local house level?
So yeah, we have actually also made these particular kits which come from small, medium, and large kind of range, where it doesn't cost too much, and starting from anywhere about for villages now from 2,000 rupees per house, which will have one solar panel, a battery that will store that energy, and then a light and one at least one light and one fan can work in a hut, starting from that price range, and can go up till whatever the requirement is. So we want to definitely expand that, and we were trying to now propose that to certain governments as well for rural India. So that'll be a great part. It'll be a great initiative that if we could get that going very soon.
So you're a lot into this is a bit offside, but I want to know about SFL Super Fight League and Super Boxing League. Like when I reached out to you, also I told you that the reason why I reached out to you is because that was a unique concept which you have worked on, which was really cool, if you remember. So tell me about that. That was like really cool.
So Super Fight League was one of my actually first super ventures ever into sports. One of my first ventures ever into sports at that level, and it was already SFL was already an existing brand in India, which was initially done by the Bill Dosanjh and Sanjay Dutt and Raj Kundra. And then that time it worked on a very fight night kind of a model. And then I had visited one of those fight nights, and I met Bill over there. And then we like post that a few years later, he told me, "We want to relaunch SFL in India and make it into a team-based model, and this is how I want to do it. And you're the man over there around, and you have the right connect and contacts to bring in team owners at the same time, involve Bollywood celebrities, and let's create that hype and build it big together." So it was a great journey, and the success of Super Fight League season one was so enormous that that's where we took I wouldn't say a mistake exactly because my ex-partners now are no more part of it. My ex-partners will not agree with me. But with the enormous success of it, we jumped and we leaped ahead and launched the Super Boxing League as well. So we were like the first ever sports company in the world to do two successful like globally televised leagues in one year of two different sports in the same format. So it was like a very different, unique thing that one pulled off. But it has its drawbacks and its pros and its cons. But Superfan League will always be very special to me, as it was, as I said, like my first entry into the business world of soccer.
How do you create a hype for it? Like when you're starting a new thing, how?
So you see, in the end, is what is the most key thing? And the most key thing is obviously the audience, the people who are going to absorb that content that you're trying to create, and how do you get to that niche? So you basically, the strategy behind it was we brought in a big corporate, made the corporate buy and pay for the team, got in celebrities, co-owners on sweat equity, made that into a bundled package. So the celebrity, yeah, and we like try to target a area-based target audience. Like so, for example, if we had like you know a Haryana team in Super Fight League, the Haryana team we got a Randeep Huda who's a proper Haryanvi and knows the sport and everything, and the locals over there connect to him, so he owned the Haryana Sultan. So it was like a perfect connection to get it in there. So that's how we built the and publicized the whole business model and like the way how the league grow.
Okay, since we're talking about business and leagues and all, what is the key trait you look for before hiring someone?
It's nothing like a particularly like it's like any other organization. It's nothing that you're looking for any particular somebody who's expert in manpower, somebody who's expert in their medical skills, or somebody who's expert in their marketing. It's like so basic. This business is the same like any other corporation. It's just about how you challenge. So nothing in particular that you look into like before you hire a person that is into the sports industry that that person has to have a different. Right now, in the last 2 3 years, or I say 4 years maximum, there are specialized sports courses that have come out in various universities and colleges. And when the time when we started out, at that there was no such specialized courses also.
Okay, so then what is one key trait that got you here where you are today?
The one, sorry, one keyword.
One key trait that got you where you are today, where you are here.
I believe that I'm the undefeatable. That is my trait. My actual name, Aparajeet, means the undefeatable. So I never give up. I never back down. I'm always there. There are setbacks in life, but I always take it smilingly. And God has been kind in those ways to me. I think every time, if I've taken 2 steps back, then immediately, very soon, I have bounced back 10 steps ahead as well. So I'm blessed in those ways.
But do you like when you're in the low times, when you're in those rough phases, how do you like keep yourself together? Because I know a lot of people when we start going through the rough times, we start losing ourselves out. We get a fear that I can't do this, and most of us quit. So how do you see yourself through those rough times?
I at times like that actually, my way of dealing with it is I can't lock myself in a room, sit and sob, okay, or that I'm down and out. No, my way of dealing with it, I become more outgoing. I go out, I meet more people, I make an effort more towards people and take their time and just tell them like, let's catch up for a drink or coffee or whatever, and then discuss whatever possibilities are there, and then something or the other always works out. Never, you know, consider yourself alone and don't ever go into that space where you want to just suddenly like shut yourself down. You're going through a low, go talk to people, express yourself. There's nothing wrong. Everyone goes through. We all are human over here. Unless we, if we were gods, then we wouldn't feel that pain and be alone. But so it's okay. You just never hold back in expressing yourself.
Yeah, I think that is really important because I know at this age also there are a lot of people who what you said they do what you said they lock themselves in the room and they will sob out and all that stuff. While it would be better if they just talk about it.
Precisely, talk about it, go out, explore more options. You never know what can come your way and when. The most unplanned and the most unforeseen things have happened with me also in the most craziest and dynamic ways. And I have like heard of so many also craziest business deals that have happened in spur of moments of just, an evening out with friends. So always expect the unexpected. That's what one should definitely do.
And I also think we need to keep the ego part aside. So I know a lot of people who will say, okay, this person is younger than me, so he can't teach me anything. while this is from my experience actually. So I have a junior in school, and I learned so much from her about patience and all that stuff, which I don't think some of my batchmates could have known. Like that is how it is, and a lot of people are like, okay, this person's younger, so I can't learn anything from this person. Well, that is wrong. So if we push that part aside, then we can learn a lot more, I think.
I completely agree. Forget younger or older or anything like that. Buddy, today every person can teach us something. Any and every person, whether somebody who's less qualified than I am, he can teach me something. Today, I can't believe that you're so younger than me, but I feel I'm feeling so confident, feel like opening out and sharing my experiences more because dude, you have a knack with yourself that how the way you're doing this interview. I think it's one of I'm definitely gonna be like oh, this young guy actually brought out all those experiences from me, and I really feel like if initially I said I'll give you a little bit of a time slot because I've had a long day, but I'm actually enjoying this whole conversation, and it's about how you make the person across you feel and how you want to teach them. So always accept learning is something that is constant and will always be consistent in your life. Each and every day is new to that.
Okay, so hopefully now 10 years later we can collab on a venture or something if I have a good idea.
I'm will be more than happy. You have open access to me at any given time. Be rest assured. And
So
by
you
10
are
years from now, sorry, how old are you again?
I'm 17 right now.
So I can expect you in the next 5 years actually to come to me. Max 5 years, right? 10 years. The next 5 years, I expect you to come to me with a good idea and tell me that, Avi sir, let's do this together, and tell me that how we can both collaborate, and I'll be more than happy to. I see that potential in you.
Thank you so much. I have my fingers crossed that happens. So you are actually a member, a functioning member in multiple companies, and how do you manage your everyday time with them? Because um, I think when I went through a portfolio, I think there are more than 15 or 20, I think, a lot of companies. So, and you're playing a key role in it. So how do you do that? Do you like call everyone in the
It's
morning
about
up or what?
I keep myself openly accessible. So people who I do my various ventures with, they know that they can access me. There's a way I've set a certain system that how I'm accessible to people, all right, who even I work with. At the same time, I make sure that when I, in my own planning through the week, that how much time to which venture I want to dedicate and how I want to put in that time towards them, right? And which company needs attention at what time. That is for me to understand. That's how my business acumen comes into play. At the same time, I always keep my doors and eyes and everything open and accessible to the people I work with. So that's something that they know that through this channel they can get my time any and as and when they need, if they need any kind of assistance. Whereas on my own, there is a whole cycle and the whole scheduling that goes into it, where I do good time management is the key thing, obviously. And I have my days where, like, yes, I would have a late night where I'll be partying with my friends till 3, 4 in the morning. Where the next day, in my first half, I won't be accessible, which is fine. That I've earned that space to be there, right? So it's all about, you know, life, how you balance your personal professional life. It's all about that. In the end, this is a game of balance and time management.
So I want to talk about how does one dive into a business venture. Let's say someone has a brilliant idea. So what is the first thing they do? Do they build a prototype? Do they ask someone for help? Do they get another friend or something, or do they directly go out for funding? What are the ABCs of it?
So there is a phases to it. Obviously, depending on what your venture is. If you're getting into if it's a product based this or if it's a app based this, so you develop it till the greatest extent the journey. If you can, as long as however far you can take it on your own, one should do that and get that to a certain stage. Then obviously market studies are important. And today you guys are like so lucky. Everything is openly information is openly available in every way possible. So it's very easy for you all to actually put together a great idea, create the prototype or, at least a working version if it's an app or if whatever the idea is, and then come out for funding. And acquiring funding should not be your primary goal. Your primary goal should be getting a person who can align with your vision so that he backs your venture and grows with you. Otherwise, you don't want somebody who will give you the money and every second they ask you that when are you returning it. or giving him the returns of it. You need those kind of funders who will add value to you. So one should always also be very careful on whom they are approaching and how do they intend to, grow themselves.
So now the last topic which I wanted to dive in is something which both of us really enjoy talking about, which is network is equal to net worth. I told you before we started recording also. So, I
And
think in the age that we live in, there's so much of competition out there that I think in the next 2 decades or 3 decades, survival at the basic level will also be difficult itself. And that a person who has a strong network will win over who has a huge amount of, who's sitting on a large stack of cash, which he has inherited or something. So, what are your thoughts on networking on that?
100% use every possible way and channel, whether social. And today it's like again everyone's so openly accessible. The way how you could reach out to me, or for that matter, anybody I want to reach out today to, or put a message or a thought across to any celebrity or any one I look up or look up to. It's at least possible for one to do that. Like there's so many times I want to put a thought across to so many our ministers and policymakers. I just pick up my like Instagram and I would go and direct message them or go on Twitter and tweet at them and get their attention and put my word across. And then there have been times when I've got responses from them, and then I've taken my conversations and my view further, and try to relate and get them to see the things at my point of view. So networking is something one should always dedicate in your time management of your day. Spend 2 hours, I would say, in at least networking minimum. Keep exploring various platforms on how you can access people and the kind of people that you're interested in, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Instagram, whether what. There's so many platforms. Whatever you would like to use, and definitely one should do that in their own way. And particularly, I see that a lot of business leaders and even young business leaders today have that niche that they want to accommodate, the next generation coming in, like the way I would for you, the way I've done it for you. And it's the same way if you would approach other businesses, I'm sure they'll take the time out and even come and, be on the show of yours, because the way how you formulate your questions and the way how you're getting to things, I think you're doing a great job with it. Because I was inspired during this lockdown, and I started something called as a show called Tycoon Talks on my Instagram, just where was interviewing my buddy, young business leaders, and going through their journey and all of it, and I'm turning that into a show as well. So it's like a great thing to do, and that helps you build your network.
I think even the way you said building the network, it has actually that has helped me also. So basically, some of my guests on my podcast, I've reached out through LinkedIn to them. Some I've reached out through Instagram, and also some I've reached out through Twitter. And then there's one or two which I've reached out to through mail. So if we use all the options that are out there, we explore them, then we can actually work it out. Like even for you, when I reached out to you, there are multiple ways. I could have mailed you, I could have reached out through to LinkedIn. And I think there's a third way, which is one of my favorite ways. So my favorite way is actually I go on Instagram, and let's say I want to reach out to you. So I will go on your Instagram following, and I will message someone that, hi, my name is Ayush, I do podcasts and all that stuff. Could I ask you for a favor? And when they get back, I will tell them to help me reach out to Avi or someone. So that is actually one of my favorite ways, because what happens with
So that's
that
how
is,
you use Richa to do that to me.
yeah. So actually, I reached out to Richa that way. I reached out to Richa that way, and then Richa guided me to you. So what happens with
I
that
think that's
actually is
smart.
I also gain a lot from that people. So they will help me reach out to you, but they will also help me reach out to other people in that field. That is what I've learned from this. So that is like the third way is my favorite way.
Well, then you have a great advantage over here now, and you can go through my profile and you'll have people, since you tell them that Avi made the time and came on your podcast, so I'm sure you'll manage to get a lot more of these businessmen also to come and do that, because they would know if I made the time for it, it's obviously something that is worth their while as well. So that's a smart move, not bad, Ayush. Let me know ever if you need anything, or if in this lockdown I can help you some way, in anything at all. Please feel free to reach out. And does that conclude your questions, or you have any more left for me?
But that actually concludes. So I really enjoyed this session with you. I got a lot of insights and I learned a lot
Likewise.
of new stuff. So thank you so much for being a part of this. So
It's my pleasure, Ayush. Sorry.
do you want to tell them to subscribe? They might listen to you.
Guys, I tell each and every one, if you want to know or learn anything about, coming up in life, you should learn it from Ayush. He had this to, make his way even to me. I am just this very normal, regular guy, but he's convinced me to do this, and which is not very easy. Trust me. Please subscribe to his channel and watch out for his shows and his podcasts and support him because I am going to subscribe for sure and watch not only mine but even everybody else's interviews as well that is going to come in the coming days. And I look forward to doing business with Ayush sometime in life very soon. And, you know, maybe you will not only just call him a budding entrepreneur, but a partner in business as well very soon. Hopefully, but in the meantime, after the next few years, still focus on your education and empower your brain with all the knowledge that is needed for you to, come out in this corporate jungle, as we call it. But sounds like a plan.